morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Conversations with Natalie. Conversations are so important, and through conversations with others, we can gather nuggets, gold nuggets, nuggets of wisdom, nuggets of knowledge. And when you have conversations with others, you start to learn a little bit about them. They share their stories, they share their knowledge, and they share their experience. And this is what Conversations with Natalie is all about. It's about having a conversation with fellow business owners to share their wisdom, their knowledge, and their nuggets. So today, my guest is Andrew, and he has hopped over the pond or flown in from, whichever way you want to look at it, but he's based in Seattle. So it's morning time for him, afternoon time for me. So isn't that great? He's starting his day, I'm winding down. So this is a great way to end my day. And I'm going to say it's a great way for Andrew to start his day.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Andrew, for hopping in and having a conversation with me today and sharing some little nuggets of wisdom, gold, whatever it is, sharing that with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So Andrew and I met at the end of last year, and he came and spoke on a summit that I was part of organizing. And one of the things that really intrigued me about Andrew is, guess what? He's not on social media. Yeah, hold your horses, sit down. He's not on social media, but he's running his own business. Now, this is something that I know other business owners think about, not being on social media. Put my hand up. This is something I'm really considering, not being on social media. So Andrew, share with us this experience. What triggered this idea of coming off social media, and what lessons have you learned from it?
When I was first getting started in business and learning how to start an online business, I was on social media all the time, and I was downloading lead magnets. I was fully involved in all of these communities, and I was trying to learn and hustle my way to success. But after a certain point, it just became clear to me that the work that I was doing, the things that I was doing related to social media, were not helping me. They weren't making me a happier person. They weren't making me a more successful person. I think a lot of people think that in order to run a successful business, you have to be using organic traffic from social media, right? It's too good to pass up, they'll say. But I just found that the cost of social media was too high for me. It's easy to think that because it's free in terms of money, that it doesn't cost you anything to use it. But I found that social media really, I would use it and I was addicted to it, and I would just scroll the feed all the time looking for new tactics and tricks, but that it left me feeling empty inside. It left me feeling lacking self-confidence. It didn't help me to be able to go out and put myself out there to create better content or to confidently pursue my goals in life. It distracted me from all of those things. It made me feel like I was not good enough, like I needed to work harder. I needed to do all of these things. And, even though I was involved in social media as a consumer, I was never, even before starting businesses, I was never really into posting on social media. So it was sort of not a difficult decision for me personally to get off of social media, just because I could see I didn't really enjoy posting. I didn't enjoy building an audience on those platforms. What I kept seeing all of the negatives that were dragging me down. And funny enough, it was another business owner who I saw the way he ran his business, and he sort of gave me permission to because I thought, like so many others, I thought you have to be on social media. And then I would go back and forth and say, but I don't like this. This isn't an authentic way for me to put myself out there, to share my ideas. It doesn't work for me. So how do I start this business? I came across another marketer named Ben Settle, and he had recently gotten off of social media, closed down all of his profiles, and really just focused on email marketing and podcasting, being a guest on other people's podcasts to grow his list. And he was making it work really well. And I thought, that is something that will work for me. And I think the realization there is, I didn't have to build a business the way that works for somebody else, but it's my business. I need to do it in a way that's authentic to my personality, my strengths, and the way that I want to live my life. I don't enjoy being on social media because of all those drawbacks. And so I don't want to run my business in a way where I'm a slave to this negative, external thing that I have to manage, but I secretly hate doing it. So I really enjoy having conversations like the conversation we're having, and I enjoy writing to my email list. And those are the things that I like to focus on. And I removed all the social media, and it helps me to focus. It helps me to think clearly, and it helps me to stay confident in myself and my abilities.
So it's quite, you mentioned something, and this is something that I encourage my clients, or I work with my clients. It's about building a business that suits your personality, that suits your way of thinking or being, that is authentically you, without being or trying to do all the you shoulds that we told we have to do. But one thing that I wanted to ask you is, so I know a lot of business owners get comfort from, or they feel part of something when they're on social media. They're part of a community. They may be part of a pod within a group, or I think LinkedIn, they call pods, or whatever it is. Where do you find your community if it's not on social media? How do you find your community?
Yeah, that's a good question. And before we got started here with, we were just chatting, and you mentioned the idea of introversion versus extroversion. And for me, I tend to be pretty introverted. I wouldn't say that I'm completely on the introverted side of things, but when it comes to community, I don't find a lot of value in being in pods or Facebook groups or those types of things. I've just found that I've been a part of them in the past, and I've found that they don't do a good job of surfacing quality information. If you're trying to learn a skill, the information that you're receiving in those groups is, especially in business or marketing related groups, because people are incentivized. Business is a sort of social label. Being an entrepreneur or a creator or a business owner, these types of things give people credibility. And so you'll find that a lot of the content that people are posting in these groups is designed to increase their own social status rather than to ask legitimate questions or to be helpful to others in the community. And so there's a lot of things that you have to sift through in order to really find quality information. So from a learning perspective, I didn't find a lot of value in those types of communities. When it comes to running sort of my own business community, a lot of that is run through me, and it's through the interactions that I have with individuals, whether it's emailing back and forth, whether it's a conversation like the one we're having. I don't run and again, this is because I'm introverted and because I haven't had a lot of personal value in the community. There's definitely value in being able to get your questions answered and in the accountability that some communities can provide. But currently, the way that I provide it is just individually, whether it's answering emails or it's holding clients accountable in other ways. I get my sense of community from my personal relationships. It's with my friends, with my wife, my family. That's really where I get my sense of community. And I prefer, as a sort of introverted type of person, I prefer to have these small groups of 1, 2, 3 people that I know really well. And that is all the social interaction I need.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you with this. It's being an introvert, it's almost like we are now giving ourselves permission to run businesses the way we want to run them. Social media, being part of groups, being part of everything, it can be a really noisy place for us and overwhelming with all the stuff that comes at you. And like you said, having the one-to-one emails or the one-to-one conversations, that is more conducive for introverts to process. We like to process information differently. We like to think about things, analyze things. And having the conversations is where we get the most benefit, as opposed to lots of people typing away on a keyboard, but it feels like shouting. It feels like, being shouted at with all the questions or something. So I can really I can understand where you're coming from with having the community and building the relationships and having the conversations. But it's not many introverts are almost embracing it and then running their business in such a way that it really embraces who they are and allows them to be. So it's really great having you here, because you're giving permission to all these introverts who are thinking, that's what I want to be doing. Why am I in such a noisy place when I can be quiet and still run a successful business? So thank you for just saying that and sharing that. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's really important to key in on that, like you've mentioned, that not only is it just okay to run things in a way that's optimized for your own strengths and the things that you enjoy doing, but you have to do that. You have to be able to protect your time. If you're introverted, you need to build your business in a way that, one, you are playing to your strengths as an individual, but also in a way that you enjoy doing it. If you're not enjoying it, if you feel, every day you have to put yourself out there and you have to go through all of this build up and tension, fighting against yourself to be able to do a live video on Facebook or to get out on and be this person who is not really you, you're not going to have that energy or that excitement that you can't fake it. You can get out there and you can put yourself out there on social media, but if you're not energized and excited and truly authentically enjoying it, people can tell. And so you really want to find the strategy that is best suited to your strengths and the way that you want to run your business, so that you can enjoy it. You can really let that enthusiasm and energy show through, because that is what's getting other people excited about what you do and how you do it, and why it's going to be helpful for them. Because if you're not excited about it, there's no way anybody else will be.
True. And like you said, if it's stressing you out, it's going to come through. And I mean, this is one of the reasons why I'm only on one platform, because that is a platform that I'm comfortable with at the moment, but I do have the bigger picture in mind, is eventually to be off it. My coach is not amused with me because I won't be on TikTok and I won't be doing this. And I'm like, it doesn't make me happy. It stresses me out. Yeah. And I do enjoy doing videos, but like this, like we're doing now, is having a conversation. I don't want to be pointing at things and God knows what they do on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't. do not understand. Maybe I'm getting older, I guess, but I do not understand the
So we
purpose
won't be
of
seeing you on TikTok
TikTok.
anytime soon then.
No, you will not. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And one of the things that doesn't mean it's not for everyone, but one of the things that I really had to get clarity on, and one of the reasons why I really came off of social media, is because I wanted to be intentional with how I spent my time.
Mm.
And on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of these places, they're sending content to you. You get to select who you want to follow, but ultimately the algorithm tells you what content you're going to see. And that is not a good way. I'm not convinced that for anyone that's a good way to actually learn something. Generally, you want to learn things when you need them, not just collecting a whole bunch of things that you may eventually need. So I want to spend my time, generally it's reading books, or sometimes it'll be watching YouTube videos. I like YouTube a lot. I've actually thought about starting a YouTube channel and doing something like this, where just having conversations with people. I think there's a lot of value in YouTube as a search engine, more so than a social media platform.
I think it is more of a search engine than social
Yeah,
media platform, because people can choose what they
you,
see. Whereas on
exactly.
social media, you can't choose what you want to look at. It's just given to you type thing. So how long now, and how are you finding that coming off social media, and as you've said, you do podcasts and you have your newsletter,
Mhm.
but how has that had to, hang on, let me put my brain back in, and put my tongue back in, my teeth in, let's get this going. You have a sip of water, good. How has it been in building a email list without all these lead generations that we are told by marketers we have to have? And how has it been creating a business, but doing it in a way that's almost not the run of the mill? You're going against the grain. And I know you're not the first one to do it, because you was inspired by somebody else, and you won't be the last one to do it, because I think so many business owners, especially introverts, need to find their way of doing it the way that suits them.
Yeah.
But how have you found it, and the journey for yourself in learning, in creating this almost new way of doing business?
It's really just a trade-off. It's you can get great leads, you can get a lot of leads, you can get free leads on social media just by putting yourself out there. I'm not going to deny that. Um, my wife runs her business basically through Instagram. She gets all of her leads and all of her traffic and does everything on Instagram, and she loves it. And she thinks, I would never want to write an email newsletter. I would never want to write any books. She doesn't want to do very much writing. So she's the opposite for me in that regard. But it's really a trade-off. It's if you don't want to expose yourself to all of that noise and all of that chaos on social media, you are giving up the ability to get free, generally a lot of free exposure, a lot of free traffic. You're sacrificing the ability to go viral and have all of these amazing moments that you hear of people having. You're definitely sacrificing that. But what you are getting is leads are coming to you. So you put a conversation out there and you'll share your ideas, and the people who are interested in that will then, they'll have to do a little bit of work, right? They'll have to look in the description of the YouTube video or the description of the podcast. They'll click through to your website, join your email newsletter. All of these things, there's a little bit of friction involved. So you're going to get less leads. You will still get leads trickling in from all of these different places. I also post a lot of blog articles and things. I write columns for some magazines. So I have leads coming in from all of those places. But it's a concept that Dan Kennedy, who's famous, world famous copywriter, one of the greatest copywriters ever, he describes it as upstream leads. And he described it in this way. He was hosting an event, a high ticket event in person several years ago. And he went around the room at the beginning of the event, and Dan Kennedy is really known for his ability to write great sales letters, do these paid promotions where you're getting a lot of paid advertising, and really optimizing the price points of all the products in the offer and the bonuses and the upsells and all of these things so that you can make the most money possible, right? And really running your business by the numbers. But he went around the room at this seminar he did, and he asked each person how they got to know him, how they came on his list, where was their first exposure to Dan Kennedy. And every single person in the room had found him either through a referral or through some sort of, no one was there because they saw an advertisement, clicked on it, and got into one of his paid funnels. And so he was using that to demonstrate the value of what he calls upstream leads, which are leads that are exposed to your idea, people that gain exposure to your ideas. And they say, wow, that's really cool. I want to learn more about that. And then they'll take a step in that direction. There's another marketer, really famous marketer called Sean D'Souza, who has his whole marketing model is sort of based around this. It's called consumption marketing. And he splits it up into basically 3 conversions that you need to make in order to get a customer for life. And the whole idea of upstream leads is baked into this system, where the first conversion is getting someone to opt in to your email list, to say, here, you can have my email in exchange for some sort of free training or PDF or whatever type of lead magnet that you're giving away. It could just be, hey, you can get access to my emails, right? That's the first conversion. You want to get people to take that step in that direction, to be willing to trade their email address for information or whatever it is that you're giving away. The second conversion in this 3 conversion process is buying your flagship product. So maybe it's a book, maybe it's a course, maybe it's whatever it is that you do. Could be some services of some kind. That is the point where they say, okay, I love all your free stuff. I want to get some of your paid, some of your best information, get it all laid out for me. That's the second conversion. And again, they're moving upstream to do that. The third conversion would be a continuity program. So it says, okay, I love your methodology. I'm invested in this. I'm the type of person who is really getting results with this book. I want to have the accountability. I want to have the monthly information. I want you to lead me every step through this journey into the foreseeable future, forever, every month, whether it's coaching, group coaching, whether it's a newsletter or that type of thing. Once you hit that third conversion, that's when you get people who are customers for life. And then you can sell them the seminars and these types of things. And so Dan Kennedy found that his best customers came from referrals. They came from listening to him on a podcast, those types of sources. They weren't people who were just looking for free stuff on social media. They weren't people who were buying the free plus shipping book offer from an ad. They were the people that came from referrals and from other sources and continued to go upstream to be able to spend more time and get into more intimate settings, seminars, groups, and spend more money to be there.
And referrals are powerful. I mean, you think about if you're looking for a plumber or electrician or a carpenter or a painter or a coach or a car dealer, whatever it is you're looking for, you ask people, don't you? You don't go on to Facebook, or most people don't. They will ask their associates, friends, colleagues, man on the street, whoever else, so do you know of a good, because referrals have that power. Because if you know somebody's at a good plumber that hasn't flooded your house out and they're pretty good and they charge a reasonable rate and they knew what they were doing, that's who you're going to go for than an ad that you might see on Facebook or something. And I think it's the same with coaches. It's the same with copywriters or web designers. It's who do you know? Do you know, I need a new website, who can I go to? Or I need some copywriting done. Who does yours? I like what and yeah, you're right. Referrals is a great way to build your business, because your customers for life want to bring in their friends and want to build their own little community through being part of your community, if that sort of makes sense. And that makes sense. And it's a way to, so as you said, coming off social media, you are getting these good upstream people into your network or tribe or email list or into your circle, and then they get to know you, so they come up into the next circle, and then they get to know you more, and then come into the next one and the next one and the next one, become customers for life. I gather that's the plan.
Yeah. So the way I like to think about it, and I was a runner in high school and college, ran competitively 800 and 1500. And there was a school in my district. There's a whole bunch of ways that coaches will train you to become a better runner. And some schools have so many people who come out for the team that they're able to run their businesses I'm mixing mine out. They're not running their businesses. They're running their team. It's a business analogy, but I'll get to that point. They run their team in such a way that I think is representative of how I like to run my business. So these coaches will get, let's say they get 60 people who try out for the cross country team. Now you really only need 7 people to run a cross country race. That's how it's scored. You'll run, your top 5 runners will be scored, and then you have 2 other runners in the race. And so your top 7 people will run. So you really only need 7 people to compete in cross country. If you have 50, 60 people that come out for the team, what the coaches will do is they will just run you into the ground. They will give you so many miles and so many intervals. And this is definitely not a pleasant way. It's not fun for everyone, but it's a good way to win, because what happens is the most capable runners, the people who do the work, the people who are naturally talented, and the people who really invest all of their energy and into running and into recovery and into their diet and their sleep and all of these things, they will get better. And the people who are either just wanted to do it for fun or are not super serious or not very good, they will end up quitting, or they might get injured because they didn't stretch, they didn't hydrate, they didn't sleep well, they get injured. And so all of these other people who are not going to make that varsity squad of 7 people, they start to fall off. And at the end, you're left with a squad of maybe 10 or 15 people who are the highest caliber that you could have created out of your audience or out of your team, right? And so I sort of think about my business in that way. I'm not trying to run people so hard that they quit, but I am trying to create sort of a gradient of giving people the opportunity to work hard, to become the best that they can be, to include their nutrition, their sleep, their focus, all of these other things that go into their ability to create really good content, and to really challenge them to become better. And by doing that, by giving people the opportunity to work harder and giving them the tools and the things that they need to take the next step, you're doing 2 things. So you're allowing the people who really want to work hard, you're giving them that ability to work harder and to achieve more. But you're also signaling to the people who are just looking for the easy solution. They're just looking for free advice. They just want to waste your time with free calls and sort of low end questions and trying to get free information out of you. You eliminate those people. You deter those people from wanting to actually, they will leave. They will realize that this is not the program for them. So it's not just about attracting customers that you like, but it's about repelling the types of customers that you don't want to work with. And I think you also find too that the more time you spend repelling the types of customers that you don't like, the more you will excite the types of customers who you do like. It's, for me personally, if I was working with a business coach or with someone who says, we don't cater to people who are just looking for free advice. We don't cater to people who are, want to be overnight successes. We don't cater to people who want easy, free, those types of things. That makes me excited because I want to work hard. I want a realistic coach who's going to tell me how it is. They're not going to sugarcoat things. They're not going to lie to me. I've tried all that stuff before and I'm not interested in it. It doesn't work for me. So there is definitely a lot of value in trying to repel the types of people who you don't want to work with.
It's almost, I don't know if you know the saying, it's separating the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
And it's, as you were saying that's what it is. You are separating the wheat from the chaff and wanting to have those serious customers as opposed to those people who just want the free stuff or the get as much as they can for as little as possible, but you want the people who commit or are serious. And I understand that because with my coaching, I want people who are serious, because when you're working with people to help them build their confidence, they got to put in the work, they got to put in the effort, they're changing the way that they think, they're changing their lives. It takes effort, it takes hard work, it takes, being present. I don't hand out a little magic pill, give it to you, swallow it, and hey, there we go, I'm confident, I'm Superman or I'm Superwoman or whoever. You have to put the work in. And if you get those that don't put the work in, who can't be bothered, why waste your time? Plus, then they say, well, that doesn't work, the program doesn't work. Well, it does work if you put in the work. It doesn't work if you sit on your couch and do nothing.
Yeah, a lot of people have unrealistic expectations, especially with coaching programs, because there's sort of a misconception, especially among beginners and on social media, that the coach will do the work for you. And so people hire coaches because they want the solution just to be handed to them. They don't realize that the coach is just going to tell you what to do and to hold you accountable, but you actually still have to do all of the work yourself. And it's really bad for the customer to spend a bunch of money and have misconceptions about what the program is or about how much work it takes. But it's also really bad for the business owner because it's going to hurt your confidence if your customers are talking bad about you or they're not getting great results. It's a headache for you to have to deal with those people. And it's so much better to work with it. At least I've found I enjoy working with people who do the work, who are enthusiastic, they're excited, they are realistic about what it takes. And that's where you're going to get the best results.
And it almost comes back to you being off social media is through your customers, people on your list, they almost have to find you. Whereas on social media, you're just scrolling through and people just come in front of you. You don't have to work for it. But to be part of your list or you have to have read the magazines or the column that you've written for or go on your blogs, or it's not handed to them. So you've almost in one way, as you've mentioned, put that resistance in, made them have to work a little bit. So you already have that one step of those freeloaders already falling by the wayside because you don't have that social media easy step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't want to waste anyone's time. And so I want them to be clear. I want them to know why they're signing up for my newsletter rather than just getting caught up in some kind of fear or social proof or something on social media, or where they're just signing up and they don't really know what they're doing. Like I said, I don't want to waste their time and I don't want them to end up complaining that I send them spam because they're not getting what they thought they're getting, even though it says clearly on the website exactly what they're getting. I want people to read.
You'd be surprised how many people don't
I
read.
know. And so, yeah, you're right. I try to skip that because I want someone who goes to my website to read it, to think about it, and to want to take that step, not to feel compelled or obligated or like they're going to miss out on something if they don't, but to enjoy the information that I share, whether it's entertaining or it's useful, and to want to take that next step.
Yeah, and it's, every time that we've spoken and whenever we do speak, I am more and more inspired to really keep that goal in mind to eventually come off social media. It is a place that has a lot of potential to be quite toxic. As you said, it was bringing you down, it was stressing you out, and it can sometimes be quite challenging to almost put that barrier between social media and yourself and not get sucked into the imposter and, oh, maybe I should be doing this, or, oh, I'm not good enough because that person's doing it like this, and I've got to think of content and this is something that inspires me. Now, I'm easily inspired by people who follow their passions, who are authentic, who are doing what they want to be doing, and they're doing things to suit their personality, which you're doing as an introvert, building your business in your own way. But what inspires you?
Yeah, that's a good question. What inspires me the most is really, and I think this is sort of a cliche that is not always meant in the most genuine way. But when I think about all of the, so I'll give you a couple of things here. What inspires me to get up and to get up early, to write, to do the work that I'm doing, just in generally, like why I do this, is because of all of the mistakes that I made and all the mistakes that I'm seeing other people making by just going headfirst into online business. I like to say that entrepreneurship ruined my life, because I got into business with this goal of earning my freedom, of leaving my job, of all of these things that you see people doing on social media, and just how amazing it's going to feel, how happy you're going to be when you're successful and you're making all of this money. But success and happiness are completely different things. They're not really related. And no matter how much success you get, it'll never make you happy. You can be happy today with what you have if you choose to be happy, and if you set your life up in a way that's designed for happiness. But the toxicity of all of the information out there, and the way that this game is designed on social media to keep you climbing the ladder of hiring more coaches, of doing more work, of chasing 20 different things all at the same time, it really turned me into a person that I could not recognize after 3 or 4 years of trying to pursue that goal. And again, this is part of why I came off of social media, because I couldn't do that anymore. I needed to do it in a different way. And so the reason why I'm doing this is to help the people who I see who are about to make the same mistakes that I made. They're about to spend $20,000, $50,000. They're about to spend all of their money on coaches with the wrong expectations of what coaching is. They're about to spend 3 years or 4 years or 5 years downloading a bunch of lead magnets and trying all of these different things, and listening to 20 different podcasts on double speed and all of these things that we're told we're supposed to do. And in the process, they're going to lose a lot of the things that they really value in their life. They're going to lose the things that made them happy. They're going to lose health. They're going to lose fitness, relationships. For at least for me, those are the things that make me happy. Those are the things that I really value. But there's no time for any of that if you're busy hustling on your business. So success to me looks like all of those things. It's maintaining my health, it's maintaining my relationships, and building a business that I'm passionate about. So to answer your question, what really inspires me is just knowing that I can make a difference. I can prevent people from making the same mistakes that I made. That's really what gets me up and gets me going to do this. As far as external sources of inspiration, I mentioned earlier that Ben Settle, he's a really good copywriter, marketer, and sort of a visionary type. He really inspired me and gave me the courage to be able to break out of that mold of this is the only way that you can build a business, right? He inspired me to build it in a way that is more authentic to my strengths, my interests, and the way that I want to do it. So he was a huge source of inspiration for me. And I definitely would not be headed in the direction that I'm headed if I wasn't exposed to his ideas and his way of thinking.
And it's amazing how one person can shift somebody else's direction in life. And it would be interesting to know what shifted his direction that got him doing this, and how many people you can inspire to shift, because there is no one way to build a business. But this is almost what we've been told, is to build an online business, social media, and you do this, you do this, you do this, and more and more and more. And like you said, you start to sacrifice your health, you start to sacrifice your time, you sacrifice friendships, relationships, all for the business to get to that ever, in the coaching industry, is now the 8-figure goal that you're supposed to aspire to, and you lose yourself in the process. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted us to have this conversation, because you've taken that step back and I was like, whoa, time out. No, how can I do this differently? I've seen how it can be done differently. Let me do it differently. And actually just taken the step and followed your gut, your heart, your head, whatever it is that you followed, but listened to you and said, okay, this is what I want to do. Now, how do I go about doing it? And that takes courage, and that takes gumption to almost go against the grain of what we are shown to be building business. And I haven't gone as drastic as you have, but the pushback I've had has been quite something for me to say, no, I'm not going back on Instagram. I'm definitely not doing TikTok. No, it's not happening. But I'm constantly, but you have to, but yes, but this is what you should be doing. So it's quite something that you've given yourself permission, accepted it, just thought, what the hell, I'm doing it, whatever it was that got you to say, I'm making that change.
I definitely have what you might call the contrarian gene. I like to, some of it may have started as just, I like to be different. But more so it's about getting really clear about what I want, how I want to build my business, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, being brutally honest about those things, and not deceiving myself because it's so easy to lie to yourself about who you are and what you want. I mean, we could spend the whole time talking about just trying to get clear on what you actually want, especially if you're on social media, because you spend so much time seeing what other people tell you to want or what other people want you to want because it benefits them, right? They want you to want to become more like them and buy their products and services so that they can be more successful. Just figuring out what you want, and then, yeah, having the confidence, like you said, to go and build that, and to not feel like you need to do it someone else's way. Life is too short to spend your time playing other people's games. So
Definitely.
it's really a intense dedication to self-reflection and really being honest with myself about what I want and who I am and what's the best way to get there. And it's also, it's what's the best way to get there, not what's the fastest way to get there.
You rather have a sustainable business than
That's absolutely
get
right.
to that, let's say 8-figure, and then it just, that's it, and keel over and burn out. And
yeah, my strategy is, I will fully admit that this is not the fastest way to do anything. I've found that going too fast just doesn't really work for me. I've over time been able to figure out the pace that works for me, but all of that stigma on social media that you always have to keep going faster and faster and faster, it just never really worked for me. I tried it. I completely burnt out, had to take months off, and it was completely miserable. So it all comes back to knowing what works for me, knowing what works for you, listening to this, and having the confidence to pursue what works for you rather than what someone else tells you need to do.
And I'm hoping that people listening to this will really start to have the courage to step back. Okay, they might not come off every single platform, but maybe come off a couple of them, especially if they're not serving you. You don't need to be on every single social media platform unless you really love it. Okay, if I know there are people who love all the platforms, go ahead. If you are enjoying it and it's giving you energy and it's inspiring you, go for it. But if you are feeling that it's draining you, stressing you, having an impact on your mental health, step back. You can. And this is what I'm hoping this conversation will get people thinking, and think there is another way. Because sometimes we almost need to be shown that there's another way, or realize that somebody else has done it, so I can do it now. It's almost having that permission to do it, and not feel that you are the weirdo in the room and just doing it differently. But there's another weirdo somewhere else who's doing it, so I can do it too.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of our upbringing. So many of us, as we go through school, we learn to follow instructions, to get immediate feedback, to
fit in.
We train ourselves to fit in. And so then when we go into the business world, we don't have those skills. We've been raised since birth to operate in one way. And entrepreneurship, really, you have to flip that around and operate in a new way. And it's also, we have these tendencies to fit in, to see what other people are doing, and then try to mimic them. So especially when you're getting started in entrepreneurship or started in business, you're mimicking what you see other people do. That's how we learn, right? If you think of a baby, the baby learns to talk by just trying to mimic the noises that they hear from their parents, right? Or whether it's talking or it's walking or it's everything that the baby does is mimicking, until eventually he or she gets to the point where they can do their own things, right? But it starts by mimicking. And the same is true when you're starting in business. You start by mimicking. You need to get past the point of mimicking and to the point where you say, okay, here's all of the things that I could possibly do, but what do I want to do, right? And I keep coming back to this, probably sounding like a broken record at this point, but learning what you want and what your strengths are, and then pursuing those, and really focusing on playing your own game rather than trying to play the games that other people want you to play.
And there is a gold nugget right there. You've shared a lovely gold nugget there, so thank you for that. What, I know you read a lot, so, and I'm not going to ask you for your favorite author, because if you're anything like me, you don't have a favorite author, you sort of have a variety. But what author are you enjoying recently, or what author has got you thinking, or book has got you thinking, okay, and you're starting to adapt ideas? So basically what I'm asking in a really weird way is what book or author has really triggered you to make a shift, or to think, getting those little brain cells going, or has got you to motivated or something, or giving you a kick up the rear end?
Right now, the things that are coming to mind are mostly newsletters. I do read a fair amount of email newsletters, so that's kind of my social media digest, if you will.
I enjoy newsletters too. They're fun, aren't they?
Yeah. So the book that comes to mind, a book that I'm reading right now, is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And it's a really interesting book about money and finances, but I've found that in every single chapter, I'm taking away key insights about human psychology, not just money psychology, but human psychology that applies directly to business. So that book, every single chapter, it's very focused on finances, but every single chapter has a very important takeaway that you can apply directly to your business. Super easy read, really great, really popular book. So I've been enjoying that. As far as other books go, I tend to go really just based on recommendation, and this is going to echo what we've been talking about with lead generation. But I've found that there's no possible way that I can keep up with all of the New York Times bestsellers and all of the books that you're supposed to read if you're on social media, right? All of these, everybody has a list of 100 books that you're supposed to read. And the reality is no one's going to read that many books in their lifetime. You can't read all the books, so you have to pick and choose. And so I find that the best books come through recommendation. I really enjoyed The Sovereign Individual. That's a very dense book. It was written in the late 90s, and it has a lot of, I suppose it's more of a financial related book, but it's about it's sort of a predicting book about, it was predicting the next maybe century, or maybe next 25 to 50 years of what was going to unfold in the first half of this century. So it's interesting to read it almost 25 years after it was published, and seeing some of the things they got right, some of the things they got wrong, but just thinking about the concepts in that book. It's really about creating your own sovereignty through the decisions that you make financially and the decisions that you make personally. That's a good book. When it comes to email newsletters, I find that, like I've mentioned Ben Settle's name a couple of times, he's always offering what he would call options for thinking differently. So just trying to break your understanding of the world and give you an opportunity to see things in a new way, and to make a change or not, or decide that the way you're doing it is correct. That sort of mindset is rooted in a series of books called Inserto by Nassim Taleb. There's 4 books, I believe, in that series, but one in particular called Antifragile. The idea of Antifragile is it's basically the opposite of being fragile. So if I have a glass of wine and I drop the wine glass on the floor, it shatters into 1,000 pieces and it's broken forever, and I'll have to go buy a new set of wine glasses, right? That is what it means to be fragile. The sort of middle ground would be what's considered robust, in that maybe it's a durable plastic instrument or wine glass. I don't want to say glass because obviously it's not glass. It's made out of a durable plastic, or maybe it's Pyrex or something. You drop it, it bounces, it doesn't break. It keeps its integrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can withstand some amount of stress without changing. But anti-fragile is the opposite of fragile. It means that when you break it, it gets stronger. So a lot of things in our sort of the human body and human mind are anti-fragile. If you break a bone in, say, your arm, the cells will reform the bone and refuse the bone, and it will actually be denser and stronger than before it was broken. Same thing with weight training or training your muscles. If you go to the gym and you do a chest workout, you are going to create little micro tears in all of the muscle that that you trained, right? That's what working out is you're breaking down your muscles, and then you're giving your body time to repair, to rebuild, and those muscles get stronger. That's how training works. Similarly with ideas, it's so easy to deceive ourselves into thinking that one worldview is correct, whether it's political or it's about business or it's about whatever. We just tunnel vision in on one idea and we say, this is the idea and everything else is wrong. Having an anti-fragile mindset means intentionally trying to break those ideas, intentionally trying to find ways in which they don't work so that you can create a stronger overall worldview. Oftentimes, the problems that we face in life, the things that make us angry, the things that aren't working, are because we have a misconception about the way the world works. We're trying to fit the world into our little bubble, the way we think things are supposed to be, but they don't actually work that way. And so by breaking your mindset, by getting exposure to new ideas, say that you don't have to use social media, that there's an option for you to think differently about this, that allows you to break your current understanding of what a business is. You don't have to use social media into a coaching offer, and you can branch out. You can make your own business in the way that you want to make it. Those types of things, that's what I'm constantly seeking, is ideas that will break my own worldview. And it's really hard to do that because it requires you to admit that you're wrong. But I've found that my greatest growth as a person, as a husband, as a business owner, has all come through breaking my understanding of the way things work so that I can see clearly how they are.
I really love that. And it brought to mind there's a, I think it's the Japanese, when something breaks, they put gold in it, in like the vases, so you can see where the break was. But it's similar. I know it's not quite the same, but it's about almost honoring that break and shifting and creating something new from the break. So you have shared so much with us today, and I really hope that somebody is inspired to think outside the box, stop being a square peg in a round hole, and I can carry on with all of these type of things. But I really appreciate you coming on here and creating a different way of thinking and just offering a different way of doing business and doing something. But before I let you go, do you have any last thoughts or ideas that you would like to share with us today?
The idea that I always come back to, the thing that I'm always trying to hold myself accountable to, and the thing that I've seen the most impact with my customers is in being consistent. Whether it's whatever you're going to be doing, if you're publishing on social media, if you're publishing an email newsletter, if you're doing direct outreach, if you're going to the gym, if you're starting a diet, consistency is where all the results come from. Just committing to yourself to stick with it every single day, realizing that the majority of the benefits and the gains and the results are going to come months, maybe years down the road, and they're not going to come in the first day, but to just stay consistent with it and keep moving forward.
And that is true. Consistency is key. So where can people find you? How can they get into your little circle?
Yeah, I talk a lot about the ideas that we've talked about here, and more specifically, I work with coaches and course creators who are trying to create better content. I help them with email marketing, content marketing, and a lot of the things that we've talked about today. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can find me at my website, andrewbrider.com, and you sign up for my email list there. I have a lot of free resources and blog posts and things that you can get started with just over on the website. So,
and the link will be down there in the comments, so you can, awesome. If you would like to learn more about Andrew and what he's doing, his newsletters are wonderful, and there's a lot of, as he said, content that you can use and everything else. So do reach out or subscribe to his emails. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here, chatting and sharing your experience and knowledge, and giving those business owners, or especially probably those introverted business owners, the permission to do it their own way, and knowing that they can do it their own way. It's just about finding it and learning their strengths, weaknesses, and learning who they are. So thank you so much for being with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great time, and thank you so much for inviting me on.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some nuggets, some knowledge, and some wisdom from it. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to the channel.